LLDB is kind of like GDB, the basic debugger that you can run for C++ code. So if I had code like this and I wanted to run through it line by line, I can use something like LLDB on macOS. In this video, I wanted to specifically go over how you can simplify your LLDB workflow. Let's get right to it. Suppose I've got a simple main file like this and I want to run it through the debugger. The first thing we're going to want to do is create the executable. I'm going to use clang, passing in the -g flag so that we can actually debug the code properly, and I'm going to press enter. That's going to create the executable. The next thing to do is to just run LLDB./main. Now, in most cases, when you're debugging code, you're going to want to do a couple things. Now, each person's going to have a different setup. One thing that I always like to do is put a breakpoint on main, so I do b main. Oftentimes, I also like to look at the assembly code. For this, we're going to want to write target, stop, hook, add, and pass in the -o flag and write disassemble, if I can spell that correctly. Now, you can also disassemble at the program counter. You can pass in the count of 10 lines so that it shows 10 lines of assembly instead of the whole thing, but I just like to stick with disassemble. So I'm going to run that, and now we can run the code. And as you can see, we will pause right after main, and it's also going to show the assembly code. So I'm going to press SI to step to the next assembly line, and you can see the arrow pointer here kind of going down as I keep pressing enter. This is the usual process that you might have if you're trying to debug code. The problem happens when you change the code. So let's exit this, press Y, press enter. Okay, now let's go back to the main code. Let's do int c equals 6. I'm going to save that file. Now we need to remake the file. So I'm going to do a make clean, then I'm going to do make once more. This is going to run that command that I had showed previously. So now if I run this through LLDB once again and I press run, LLDB is going to forget that we added the breakpoint at main as well as the disassemble command. So what we need to do is essentially add those two things in again. So I would have to do b at breakpoint at main, target, stop, hook, add, -o, disassemble, and as you can see, it gets really annoying and frustrating to have to do this every time. So is there a better way to do this? And that's what I want to go over today, which is that there is a way to do this, and that is by doing it via the LLDB settings. You can create a new file called .lldb init. This file is essentially going to run these commands whenever you initialize LLDB. You have to do it in your home directory. That's why I'm passing in the tilde here. And so if I press enter, I've got some code already written here. I've commented this out previously, so let's uncomment them line by line. The first thing I want to uncomment is this one right here, breakpoint set at main. And this time we're also going to add the target, stop, hook with disassemble by default. I'm going to exit out of this from Vim if I can remember how to do that. :WQ, which writes this file and saves it. So now let's run LLDB once more. And at this point, you're going to see that the stop hook was added and that there was a breakpoint added. So if I just press run, this time around, it does what we expect, or it does what I generally want to do whenever I run through LLDB, which is a breakpoint on main, as well as showing the assembly code. Again, this is just one of those quick tips to set up your LLDB config such that you can not have to do this every single time. Let's just press SI a couple times and it kind of just works as normal. Anyway, I'm going to exit out of this. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is in your LLDB init file, you can have a couple of custom commands that will run in LLDB automatically whenever it opens up. And for each person, it might be different. For me, it looks like this right now because oftentimes I'm just testing out very simple C++ code. Maybe you don't want to disassemble, but you want to do something else. You know, whatever the case is, you can add your settings in this file and it will run it by default. So I could do like --PC, which means the program counter. And I can also do -count. I'm going to save this. And now if I were to rerun this, and rerun LLDB on main and then press run, you're going to see this time around that we're only showing 10 instructions from the program counter and not the entire thing. So there you go. You've essentially figured out a way to customize your LLDB every time when it is initialized to work the way that you want it to. You know, you might not even care about this assembly. The main point of this video is not, is this the command that you want? It's more so like, hey, here's this cool LLDB trick that you can use, and whenever you're running the debugger, it will run these custom settings for you, because it can get really annoying, especially if you're changing the C++ code very frequently and you're compiling the code and then you're trying to debug it, and it can get pretty annoying pretty quickly. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.